cyberbullying, how it affects everything. Thanks for joining, Samarth Bhaskar Bhatt. And thank you, everyone. Hope we'll have a wonderful session from you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Suhas, please give a complete read a profile about Samarth Bhaskar Bhatt by yourself.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Sure. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. You can start.
Yes, thank you.
Am I audible, sir?
Suhas, can you please read the profile of sir so that everybody will know about it? Suhas? Suhas, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah. Sir, I'd like to take 2 minutes to let the participants know about complete details about yourself. Yeah.
Sure, ma'am.
I just take 2 minutes. Samarth Bhaskar Bhatt is a technical director and he has many certifications in his thing. It is a GIEC certified web application defender. He's a Sans Lethal Forensicator coin holder and he's a certified ethical hacker and he's NIT certified .NET application developer. And he has many achievements to its category like Bit9 platform, Sans Dev 522 web application defense, information security essentials, hacker techniques and incident handling, network penetration testing and ethical hacking, and reverse engineering and malware analysis. As a security architect, over 6 years of experience in information security design and development of application software. He's audited 50 plus business application in the area of banking, finance, insurance, trading, and e-commerce. He's conducted many security audit of payment gateways. He's an expertise in handling various application security assessment, penetration test, and vulnerability assessment. He has a good work exposure on implementation of Security Operations Center and data loss prevention. Is proficient in understanding application level vulnerabilities. Expert in web security, testing tools like proxy editors, network sniffing tools, and many others. Is well versed with OWASP Top 10. Proficiency in creating threat profile for different type of applications. Has a knowledge of different phases, methodologies, concepts, and procedures involved in PT and VA, good understanding of vulnerability scanners, and expertise in implementation and configuration, disk encryption and email encryption, and trained in secure code review of .NET applications. His expertise in data programming. And he has a rich experience in technical skill set and he has worked in many projects carried out in India, or youngest ethical hacker in India, and selected to National Security Database Examination for the recruitment at PMO, instructor at Prevance Forensic Technologies, Maharashtra, Chief Proctor for Wellspring Technologies from EC Council at Noida, appointed as President of Indian Cyber Army for Karnataka Unit, Cyber Security Consultation to Indian Air Force Unit at Nagpur, and Cyber Consultant to Chhattisgarh Police Department. So he's a man with rich experience. I hope you all make use of this session. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. Please, it's over to you now.
Thank you, ma'am. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay. So good afternoon to one and all. So today we shall discuss on the topic of ethical hacking and cybersecurity. Usually these two words are used interchangeably without any difference. Most of them think both are same, but we shall look into each and every aspect with a demonstration. So first, let's address a question. What exactly is hacking? Can anyone tell me what exactly is hacking? You can unmute yourself and tell, or you can just even comment it in the comment section. What do you understand by the word hacking?
Samarth, compromising data or penetrating informations.
Right. Any other answers? Okay. So when we usually hear about hacking or when we browse about hacking over the internet, it may be Google or any famous blogs or any IEEE papers or anywhere, we often get three words saying that it's like breaking passwords, stealing credentials, or unauthorized access. But this is not exactly what is hacking. This is just a part of hacking. Unfortunately, today we have a very bad reputation in our society when we say we are hackers. So hackers are nothing but expert coders. Expert coders in the sense who know programming very well. Now, what do you mean by coders? Now, if I say how many of you know C programming, I think most of you will raise your hand because you people have covered that subject. Let me put up one question to you. Just think it's an interview. You have just 2 minutes of time. How will you solve this question? Write a C program without using the semicolon button. Give me the output of semicolon. I repeat the question. Write a C program to give me an output of semicolon without using the semicolon button. How will you do that? Just tell me the logic. That would be fine. You can unmute yourself or you can even drop it in the comment section. So this is nothing but coding. Coding requires writing your own logics. Today, industry is expecting you more than the traditional way of learning. The traditional way of learning includes like the learning from a standard book. It may be Balgar Swami book, Padma Reddy book, or any other standard books. But that is not sufficient. I'm not telling you to leave that. That is very much mandatory to start with. But that is not sufficient. You should know to program with your own logics. How many of you know to write programs in standards? Have you heard about standards? Am I audible? Am I audible by the way? Yes. Okay, cool. Okay. Have you heard about writing programs in standards? What are standards? So let me give you an example of standards. When you go to interviews, that is for placements or while recruitment, it may be off campus or within the campus, they will ask you to write a simple C program or a Java program. The one who writes it with standards will get selected, and the one who writes it in a normal way will get rejected. Now, what do you mean by standards in layman terms? For example, if you write a C program, it will not get executed in all the compilers. It may have some loopholes, but it will get executed in some compilers. Standards is nothing but a style of writing a program in such a way that it gets executed in all the compilers, and it's an efficient way where there is no loopholes in programming. So you should learn any programming language with its standards. It may be C, C++, Java, or anything. Learn the programming language in standards. First way, learning it in traditional way is mandatory. That is through books, standard books. But after that, that is not sufficient. In order to enter to industry, you should know programming in standards. Then only it will be. Then only you can match up with industry requirements. For example, now how is the differences? If you write a C program in a normal way, after void main you add one bracket. But if you're writing it in standards, you add two brackets. So that is the difference of writing it in standards. So learn the programming language in standards. So now why did I give this an idea? Because hacker means it's nothing but a programmer or a coder. The word HACK means it's nothing but CODE, code. The word hack is nothing but another name for code. Hacking means coding. So a person who is an expert in coding is nothing but an expert in hacking. So it's not that the definitions which you find over internet like breaking passwords, stealing credentials, unauthorized access, those are all just part of it. So hacking is nothing but purely coding. Any doubts on this? If you have any doubts, you can ask me at any time. Don't hesitate to ask doubts. So now we have understood the concept of what is hacking. Now we should address an immediate question to say that, is hacking something real or myth? Is it happening in this real world, or is it just been given this one as a fake news? Is it happening? Do you think hacking is real?
Yes, sir, it's a real fact, and we are affected by it.
How do we believe that? Are we have we been the victims? How to believe that hacking is real? It can happen to
Because,
anyone.
because many of our friends are affected by it, and we have witnessed the situation.
Situations. Okay. So, but since we are from the science background and we are engineers, we have to, when we are speaking anything, we have to show proofs. So without proofs, no one will believe us. So it may, anywhere we go, we have to have something called scientific backing when we are speaking it out. So when we say hacking is real, we have to see whether it is possible to each and every product. Then only it is called science, or else it will be an arts. So science, what do you mean by science? If I do the same experiment, that is 2 plus 2 equals to 4, and if you also do the same calculation, it should come 2 plus 2 equals to 4. If you get 2 plus 2 equals to 4, and if I get 2 plus 2 equals to 5, it will not be science. Same way, hacking is also considered as science. So now when we speak out, we should speak on proof. Now, how do we get the proof? For that, we shall do some small practical demonstration. Just go to your URL, that is your browser, and go to the website cvedetails.com as shown in the screen. I hope my screen is visible. Is my screen visible? Can anyone confirm me that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Great. So just go to your browser and in the URL enter cvedetails.com. So once you enter cvedetails.com, here you land up at the left hand side corner, you have a column called product search. Click on the column called product search. Once you click on product search, here enter any product whichever you use it in your daily life. It will show the list of ways it can be hacked. So this is a benchmark website which we use for testing whether a product is safe or not. Let me take an example of Windows 10, since most of us use Windows 10 today. Type Windows 10 and click on search. Here it shows the number of vulnerabilities, which means number of ways it can be hacked. Vulnerabilities means weaknesses. So as of now, it has 1111 vulnerabilities. If you click on that, it will show you where and all it has been affected and to what level it has been affected. Take any product. So this will show you with proof where and when it was affected it out. It will show you what are the vulnerabilities also with the scores, that is critical, high, medium, and low. So the red one is with high, critical. So just go back and enter any other product also. So if you enter in product search, any other product, if for instead of Windows 10, enter Android, you'll get the list of vulnerabilities of Android operating system. You can see here it's 2500 plus vulnerabilities. So if you click on that, it will show you even where and all it has been affected. Similarly, you can do with any software product. So by this proof or backing, we can consider that hacking is something real. It is not a myth, because we can show some scientific proofs. Clear with this? So now we have understood the concept of what exactly is hacking, what are the proof whether hacking is real or a myth. There is a famous saying in cybersecurity saying that people may or may not believe whatever you say, but people do believe whatever you show them. So when you are telling anything in cybersecurity, you have to perform it with a demonstration and show it to them. Then only they will consider it as real. So now we shall come to the concept of today's webinar. What are the discussion points which we will be going through it? First one will be introduction to cybersecurity and ethical hacking. So hacking, I have come through it. Now we shall go into cybersecurity with the later one. Then is cybersecurity very essential for today? Then what are the skill sets for a cybersecurity professional? Why? Because why everyone should have that particular skill set? What exactly is the gap between the academics and the industries, and how to bridge that gap? Then how to start with cybersecurity and its applications. So now we shall move on to the introduction of cybersecurity. So in brief, to say what exactly is hacking, you can see our slide. So here it is, that is the conceptions and misconceptions. So the misconceptions are like breaking passwords, stealing credentials, and unauthorized accesses. So these are all part of hacking, but not the exact meaning of hacking. So hacking, the exact conception of hackings are coding. Coding involves, again, programming in standards. Then comes scripting. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between coding and scripting? Have you heard about the word scripting? So scripting means, for example, when we say what is coding, coding is, for example, I'm doing a programming for addition operation. So the logic would be C equals to A plus B. Similarly, for subtraction, it will be C equals to A minus B, and multiplication C equals to A into B, and division equals to C into A divided by B. If I have to automate all these programs with a single line of code, that is known as scripting. It's nothing but automation of multiple programs. So learning programming is to one level of basic conception of hacking. Next level is you should be well versed in scripting. Scripting in the sense you should run multiple programs with single line of code. That is nothing but the art of scripting. And scripting involves interpreter, not compiler. Interpreter is line to line. Compiler is not line to line. Then comes manipulation of code. So once you know scripting, you can even manipulate the whole code. So this is the exact conception of hacking, that is coding, scripting, and manipulating. Now we shall come into the types of hacking. Usually there are three types of hackers. You might have heard about it. So the first one is black hat hacker. Black hat hackers are nothing but usually whatever the definitions which we hear or which we come across over the internet, like stealing passwords, breaking credentials, unauthorized accesses, etc. In one line to say all the illegal activities performed. The best example is the WikiLeaks founder, Julian Assange. He is the person who revealed the Pentagon secrets of the USA. This is an example for black hat hackers, totally illegal stuffs. Now, who are white hat hackers? White hat hackers are the opposite of black hat hackers. They are nothing but who do legal stuffs, who work with the police department, who work with the law enforcement agencies, who protect from hacking. The best example is Linus Torvalds, the founder of Linux. Now, there is third set of people known as gray hat hackers who can do both the set of activities, that is black hat as well as white hat, a combination of black hat and white hat, that is gray hat activities. Depending on circumstances, they become black hat or white hat. Now, there is a last set of people known as script kiddies. So, script kiddies are the ones who make use of the softwares which is being prepared by these three hackers. They don't even write a single line of code. They make use of the softwares prepared by black hat, white hat, and gray hat hackers. Now, can you tell me the advantage of being a script kiddie and the disadvantage of being a script kiddie? Can anyone tell me the advantage and disadvantage? Feel free to speak out or ask any doubts.
They can use in advantages, they can use any code, and the disadvantages, they don't know how to code it.
Exactly. So, which means to say there will be no, you don't have to involve your time. You can just readily use the softwares which are available in the market. The disadvantage is if there is any bug or if there is any antivirus blocking it out, you will not know how to debug it or decode it because you have not coded it. So here there is a boundary between the hackers and script kiddies. So hackers are nothing but coders. That is the reason I said coding. There is programming in standards, which involves coding, then comes scripting, then comes manipulation. So now we shall look into a small demonstrations of what exactly is script kiddie way of hacking and the coding way of hacking. Let's go into a small demonstration of how to hack Windows operating system through script kiddie way. Script kiddie way, which means through the ready-made softwares which are available today. I'm not using coding anything. So here is an operating system. Now I don't know I don't know the password. Now I'm trying various passwords, but it is coming as wrong passwords. What to do in such case? So here I can hack it in multiple ways. So I am hacking the Windows operating system using script kiddie way. Script kiddie way in the sense using a ready-made software. And that ready-made software is nothing but called Konboot. Konboot. So here is the software. So I have to take this software, put it in a USB, that is pen drive or CD, and just put it to the system and restart it. So first step, once I have to install it in the CD or the pen drive. So here in our case, I'm using it as CD. So you can choose even pen drive, any option. Once you install it, restart your system and insert the pen drive or CD. Once you have done it, while restarting, enter the boot menu. What do you mean by boot menu? Boot menu is nothing but the F12, F10 or escape options. It depends on the laptop manufacturers. For example, Dell will have F12, whereas HP will have escape. So while restarting, if you enter the boot menu, that is F10 or F12 or escape, you'll get the screen like this as shown in the screen. So here, boot it with CD. In our case, it is CD. If you have used it pen drive, use the pen drive option, USB. So you get the Konboot loading as shown in the screen. Once this is loaded, your Windows passwords are bypassed. You don't have to write a password at all. You can enter anything as password once you do this. Let's see whether it works or not. So I have readily used the software Konboot. So this is an example for script kiddie way of hacking. So I'll not enter any password. I'll just enter option. As you can see, Windows is bypassed. So this is the way of hacking Windows through script kiddie way. That is readily available softwares. Now advantages, if Windows people block this particular software, then you have to change the code. So that will not be possible from you. It will be possible only from the person who has coded the software. So now we shall look. Now, have you got the clear idea of what exactly is script kiddie? Any doubts on this? You can ask me.
Sir, is it applicable for any of the operating systems?
No, this is for Windows. For other operating system, you have other softwares.
Okay, sir.
So now we shall look into the hacking, that is coders way. How do you hack through coding? So let's take the example of Linux operating system. If it is a Linux operating system, you cannot use any ready-made softwares. It is not possible because it is a command line interface. There is no GUI in it. So what to do in such a case? You have to know coding. Now, what exactly is the way of coding? How coding is nothing but communication, interacting. For example, I am speaking in English, so you people are responding. If I speak in Spanish or German, will you understand? No. Similarly, computer also. If you ask the username and password, it will give it. But if you ask in its own language, that is nothing but coding. So you have computer will give you whatever you ask, but you should ask in its own language. So the art of speaking to the computer in its own language is nothing but coding this. So here also Linux, the username and passwords are stored in its memory. So you should ask to the Linux operating system to go to this particular location, tell me what is the username and password and change it, but it will do it. but you should tell it in its own language. That is nothing but coding. So here is the Linux operating system. So here I don't know the password. I'll enter various passwords. It will not take it as password. I don't know what is the password. So in this case, I don't have any ready-made softwares. I have to hack it through the coder's way. That is the real hacker's way. How to do that? Again, I have to go to the boot option. How do you go to boot option? Restart the system and enter shift button. So when you enter shift button multiple times, you get an option where you can go to the single user root mode. So it may take some couple of seconds. Wait for some time. It will appear on the screen. While restarting, press the shift button multiple times. So in that time, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. It may take some couple of seconds, just from 15 to 20 seconds. You can unmute yourself and ask me any doubts, or you can even drop it in the comment section. So have you understood the concept of script kiddie and the exact way of hacking? So here you get the option once you enter the boot menu. So go to the option of advanced options for Ubuntu. Once you go to advanced options, go to recovery mode. Once you go to recovery mode, here you'll get an option to go to the single user root mode. If you go to root mode, you can alter anything. So here is the option. So go to the root shell prompt. Once you go here you have got the access for communicating. So now enter the following commands. That is sudo space password space the username. In our case, the username is cold coffee. And click enter. So here it's asking me, you can set a new password itself. So I'll set the password as 123. Here the numbers won't be visible since it's a command line interface. So I'll retype the password 123. But here I'm getting an error saying that there is an authentication token manipulation error. So this is nothing but the drawback if you use it using script kiddie. You'll get an error like this, you cannot debug it. But if you know programming and coding, you can debug it. So here there is a bug. I have to debug it using a process called mounting and remounting. So I'll enter the particular command. So that is nothing but mount space -o space rw comma remount space /. So I have debugged it. Now I'll re-enter the particular command. So it's asking me to enter the password. So I'll enter 123 as the password. I will retype the password. As you can see now, password updated successfully. It is debugged. So this is the job of a hacker. He should know to debug it. In order to know the debug it, you have to know the problem. So once you debug it, you can see whether the password works or not. So just restart it. It will go to the login option. Once it goes to the login option, you can just enter the newly set password, that is 123, see whether it works. So this is the hacker's way. So I'll enter 123 as the password now and click on sign in. So try this method, even it will work for you also, for every Linux operating system. So even Windows also can be cracked like this. So these are the various ways of hacking. So my scope of this demonstration was to make you sure that difference between script kiddie and the real hackers. So you have a clear idea on what exactly is script kiddie and the black, white, and gray hat hackers. Now, is there any doubt? You can ask me. Can we move on to the next concept? Great.
Yes.
So now we have understood what is hacking, what are types of hacking, is hacking something real or a myth. So now we should address immediate one more question, saying that why is hacking happening? Why can't hacking be prevented? Can anyone answer me that? What are these multinational companies doing in such cases? They are having high qualified engineers, high qualified coders, programmers, everyone, but still they are not able to stop hacking. CV details, website shows so many vulnerabilities. Why is it so? Why can't it be prevented? Can anyone answer me that? See, when anyone asks you the question why this is hackable or why hacking cannot be prevented, the first thing is, how is the communication happening? Communication happening is through radio communication, radio packets, which means to say if you send a hi message over WhatsApp to your friend, it will not directly go to your friend's phone. It will go to various servers, reach the WhatsApp server, then come back to your friend. So when it is moving through air, everything is hackable. Why? Because just like wind, it moves around you, the hi message. You can't see it, but softwares can see it, and through softwares, hackers will see it. For example, how to see that whether the messages which you are going is traveling through air or not, the radio communication, how to monitor it. Let's do a small demonstration. Just go to your search column and enter CMD. Once you enter CMD, you get the black color small screen window, which is nothing but command prompt. Here, enter the command tracert, that is TRACERT, space, the website name. In our case, let's use facebook.com to see how, if you are using Facebook, how the packet travels. If you click on that, you can see here, it shows minimum of 30 hops, which means hops means servers. So it travels through 30 servers, which means to say if I send a hi message from Bangalore, it will first go to Bangalore server, then Chennai server, then Dubai server, then Mumbai server. Like this, it goes to the American servers. That is the Silicon Valley. Then it comes to your friend. So this is nothing but radio communication. So when it is traveling through so many systems, anyone within 100 meters can sniff the data, which means to say it is all moving in air. So when it is moving in air, through softwares, they can pull out all the data. So this is one of the biggest drawback where it cannot be prevented at all when you are using internet. That only if you send the same information through wire, it is not at all hackable. It is totally safe. So whenever anything is using radio communication, that is wireless communication, radio packets, it is 100% hackable. Got the idea? Clear with this? If you have any doubts, you can ask me. If you want me to repeat it, I'll repeat it. Great. This is the first rule to say that why hacking is possible. Now, second way is something called protocols. What are protocols? For example, if I have to travel from my office to your college, what are the ways which I can travel? I can travel through road, I can travel through air, I can travel through by walking, by bicycle, by two-wheelers, by four-wheelers, lot of ways. Can we say these number of ways as protocols, the list of ways? So similarly, packet can travel through list of ways, that is list of protocols. So the total number of protocols are 65,535. So that which means like TCP, FTP, HTTP, there are 65,535 protocols for any product. You take it out when it is using radio communication. So there is no one company which has 65,535 protocols, or 65,535 protocol engineers. That is 65,535 security engineers to stop it. So this is the major drawback for hacking. So when anyone asks you, is this hackable? Apply these two concepts, whether it is using radio communication or wired communication. If it is using radio communication, it means that it can be hacked. If it is using wired communication, it means that it cannot be hacked. Second thing is how many protocols it uses. So by default, it should use all the 65,535 protocols. So any protocol is hackable. There is no one company which has 65,535 engineers. So clear with this concept?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Great.
sir.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So now we got to know what is hacking. Why is hacking something real or not? We saw the types of hackers with demonstration, and we also answered the question why everything can be hacked. So then what is the solution? See, hacking cannot be prevented, which means there is no one-time solution. It has to be protected every time. So I mean to say, like, COVID cannot be prevented completely. If you take medicine today, after 10 years also you might get COVID. You may be tested COVID-19 positive. So you have to protect yourself at every time. When you get cold, every time you have to take medicine. Similarly, you should protect yourself every time in terms of hacking. So the way of protection is nothing but cyber security. So cyber security is not a separate domain or a separate technology. Cyber security is just like mathematics. How you use it for physics, how you use it for chemistry, how you use it for non-technical subjects like for accountancy, for day-to-day activities. Similar way, cyber security is an additional qualifications skill set, because everywhere there is coding. You take any technology, AI, ML, IoT, testing, web development, app development, cloud computing, anywhere there is coding. When you can control the code, you can control the world. So when there is coding and programming, there are loopholes, there are protocols. So again, that's why you should have cyber security. It's like when you're building a house, it's like you're building a software. So you have to have compound, you have to have door, you have to have security guard. Similarly, these all the things when we speak on software languages, it's one term is cyber security. It is a additional toolkit where it is applicable to all the technologies. So you need not, suppose if you are well versed in one technology, if you have this particular skill set, you'll have a very high impact on that particular subject. So now we shall look into what exactly cybersecurity industry is, what exactly it expects, and what are the gaps in it. Like gaps, when I speak, it means to say difference between academics and industries, and how to bridge this particular gap. See, usually in colleges, you learn coding through standards books. That is the traditional way of learning, which we call through standard books. You have to read it through this, that is mandatory. Without reading this, if you come, it will be more disastrous. So in colleges, you learn through any standard books. It may be Valgar Swami book, Padma Reddy book, or any other books. But when you are coming to industry, what industry expects is, industry expects you to learn it up to standards. So when you're learning any programming language, learn it with standards. Now, what do you mean by learning it with standards? Like go to these websites like geeksforgeeks.org, so which will show you how to program it with standards. Then networking, you learn it as CN1 and CN2 subjects in your colleges. But when you should know which network uses which protocols, what is the OSI layer. Now, why this is important is because your placement happens on 3 domains. Not like your aptitude general discussion. I'm telling domains, that is technologies like programming, operating systems, and database. If you know anything regarding these 3, you will be selected. Either you know anything about programming, either anything you know about operating system, or anything you know about database, you are selected. So similarly, every company has 7 stages or 7 layers. When we say the first stage is programming, second is operating system, third is networking. Third is database, And the last layer is seventh stage, which we call it as networking. So here it's nothing but purely cybersecurity professionals. You can directly go to this particular stage. To that, you have to know the protocols, working of it, the whole networking concepts. For example, to say it's not possible, obviously, for a person to remember all the 65,535 protocols, but you should know which are the softwares which you are using, which protocol it uses. Can anyone tell me ping is which protocol? You use the command ping, right? Can anyone tell me ping is which protocol?
Internet protocol.
What internet IP protocol? No, wrong. It's not IP. So ping is ICMP, Internet Control Message Protocol. Which protocol is your WhatsApp using? So you should know which are the protocols which you are using, at least the softwares or the products which you are using. So this is nothing but the gap which you have to cover it out. You should know. That is in programming, and today the trend is totally changing it out. Which means to say today all the IT industry, if you see, the top hierarchy is ruled by Indians. Take an example of Google, Microsoft, anywhere. It is Satya Nadella or Sundar Pichai, everyone. So when they were getting recruited, the trend was different. For example, to say Satya Nadella was 1992 batch engineer from Manipal University. So he gets recruited to Microsoft in 1993. 2013 he becomes the CEO. So which means 20 years of time of his hard work. But today the trend is totally changing. What hacker will do is he or she will not go to company interviews. Instead, they hack the company website, go to jail for 2 years. Once they come back from jail, they are offered with CEO or CTO jobs. So I am not asking you to follow this path, but I'm telling you the skill set, the demand of this particular skill set, cybersecurity. It is top hierarchy decision-making skill set. There is a new designation arrived today called CRO, which means to say Chief Risk-Taking Officer. The person of CRO is to just prioritize the risk. Just as the human body has lot of diseases, all the diseases cannot be cured, right? If you cure one disease, one more disease will be coming. It may be common cold, cancer, it may be any other diseases. Similarly, every software product has lot of vulnerabilities. So you cannot cover all the vulnerabilities. It is impossible for any product you take. You take Google or you take any college application also. So the CRO will sit and prioritize in the sense, for example, like a doctor. He will first test the software, then he will tell whether if the software has a disease like cancer, then immediately address it. If you have common cold, ignore it. After 3 days, no, it will get cured automatically. But cancer, if it goes to stage 4, the whole product will be compromised. Similarly, the job of CRO is to prioritize the risk and address it on the timely aspects. So this is what industry expects from you. Clear with this? Shall we move on to the next concept?
Sure, sir.
Great. So now we have got the concept of what exactly industry requires. Now, how to build such particular skill set, which means to say how to start with cybersecurity. When I say how to start with cybersecurity, it doesn't mean that you have to quit all other technologies. As I said, cybersecurity is involved in all the technologies. It may be programming, it may be AI, it may be ML, it may be development, it may be app development, it may be IoT, it may be anywhere, wherever there is coding. So you can apply it. So how to start with? First step is you have to be just curious mind. You don't have to have any background for it. So even people from mechanical and civil background today have become hackers. So after being from curious mindset, you have to be an expert script kiddie. Script kiddie means you have to be expert in the ready-made softwares which are available in the market. What and all it does, how it can be used out. That is script kiddie. Next is you have to be capable of doing scripting. Scripting again involves programming in standards, then manipulation, then again coding it to such an extent where automation should happen. You should automate multiple codes with single line of command. That is nothing but scripting. Then the steps come called CTF or bug bounty, which we call capture the flag. See, now I'll show you a demonstration what exactly happens in your company interviews. They will no more ask you to write a program in your interview or ask you some technical questions. Instead, they will give you one machine. I'll just be showing you how it is. See, this is nothing but a machine. So here you should find the username and password. That's all. It's like treasure hunt. So how to do it? You should do a lot of trial and error methods. The trial and error methods are nothing but cybersecurity skill set. Now I will even show you the particular commands and the processes. In the notepad, I'll enter the commands. It is a little bit of overhead concept, but just to make you aware of what exactly happens in technical interviews, I'll show you so that you can get to know how to start with and to what extent you have to reach with the cybersecurity. So your particularly if they give you a machine like this, you should find the username and password credentials. So for that, first what you should do, we don't know what it is. So you have to do some trial and error. So I'll enter one particular command, that is net discover. So we should use another operating system called Kali Linux for this. So just go to the command prompt. So enter the first command, that is net discover, as we saw in the notepad. What net discover particular command does is, it will show me the surrounding IP addresses and MAC IDs surrounding my laptop or system. So as you can see, I have got lot of MAC IDs and IP addresses. So similarly, this machine is also one of the machines surrounding my laptop. So it should consist of within this particular IPs. I know remaining all IPs, but this IP I can filter it out. Once I get the IP address, so the next what I should do is I have to find out what all I can find out through that particular IP address, like what and all it uses, which are the ports which it uses by the command called nmap. So let me enter that particular command here in the notepad, then I'll enter it in the command prompt. So now at what time you should use nmap, at what particular stage you should use net discover, these are nothing but skill sets of cybersecurity. But I'll tell you how to adopt those skill sets also. So now I'm entering nmap space that particular IP address. So once I enter, I get some more informations shown in the screen. So here I can we can see here is it has an FTP login possibility. So now I'll try to log in through FTP. For that, the particular command is FTP. So enter this particular command. FTP space the particular IP address. So once you enter it out, you get some more information. So the next command would be the login, which is successful, but I have the credentials in the encrypted form, that is the hashed form. How to decrypt it, I'll be showing it. We'll be using another software for this. So here it's loading the backup file to the local directory. So now I'm taking the backup. By entering the command file backup. So here is the user credentials, but it's in the encrypted form. Now I should decrypt it. For that, I have a tool called Hashcat. So using Hashcat, I will decrypt it. So once I decrypt it, I will get the username and the password in the plain text. Let's try whether it works or not. So the tool is John, the particular file name. Enter this particular command, it will decrypt it. So as you can see, the username is Sunset and the password is Chia14. So this is what the user credential was. So let's enter it out. So this is how you should crack the machine. So if you crack this particular machine, you are selected. If you have not cracked, you'll not be selected. This is how your technical interview goes off. So now you got to know what exactly industry demands, how to start with cybersecurity, and what exactly happens in technical interview also. Now, how to acquire this skill set? Now you got to know you have to be a script kiddie scripting, but is there any course or is there any certifications? See, first is there are global body certifications where all these particular skill sets will be taught to you from scratch. So the global bodies are like, there are two global bodies, which is known as EC Council and SAN certifications. Let me show you through the screen. So this is the EC Council, the body. The first, it was once upon a time in a very good trend, which has like 20 to 30 courses like CEH, Certified Ethical Hacking, Certified Hacking Forensic Investigator, like this Licensed Penetration Tester. It has plenty of courses. But the biggest drawback in this course is it is all multiple choice based evaluation. So they don't give you machines in this. That is EC Council certification. So there is another SAN certification, which is the leading global body. So if you are SAN certified, your package starts minimum with 16 lakhs. How do you say that minimum 16 lakhs? Because you take any company policy, it is the minimum package it should offer. It is just like a PhD professor should be offered with this amount of salary, or doctor or who has performed with MD certification has to get this particular salary, like this. Similarly, this is irrespective of your background, irrespective of your experience, you're a dropout or a fresher. Your package start with 16 lakhs. If you just clear the subject, and if you clear with like as you have FCD, that is first class distinction in your curriculum, here also there's something called coin holder. It's a distinction grade. So if you're cleared with that, you get either two calls, one from the government organizations or one from the terrorist organizations. And if you are planning to go to masters and all, if you are cleared this particular certification with the coin holder, so you will be offered for tutoring from the particular foreign universities. All the foreign university professors are done with this particular certifications in cybersecurity domain. So now the affordability of this particular global body certifications are EC Council. Each certification will cost you minimum of 40 to 50,000, and SANS will cost you from 3.5 lakhs, the minimum, to 7 lakhs when you just take up that particular exam. If you have cleared with this, till now, like before EC Council, if you have cleared with if you had a EC Council certification, you would have had a minimum package of 3.5 to 5 lakhs per year. But today, no, it is getting degraded. No one is considering it since it's a multiple choice based evaluation, not machine based. But SANS is machine based. So in order to optimize it to students level, you can visit our website where we are offering the same courses to up to your level, that is from scratch. If you don't know anything also, you can start through our certifications, which is at a nominal cost. Just visit our website, that is reverseengineeringinfosec.com, and go to the column called all courses as shown in the screen. Here, if you go here, there are plenty of courses. So we have all the courses like cybersecurity in AI, cybersecurity in ML, like this. So we ask every beginner to start with the course of professional ethical hacking, that is PEH, shown in the screen. PEH, professional ethical hacking course. Once you go to this course, it is around 7 hours of course. So it will be valid till 3 months. You can take it up. There we will be showing you how to solve machines from basic. Even if you don't know Linux programming, even that is also covered in this. It has around 17 modules in it. So everything with the video tutorials, you can access it anytime. So it's a nominal price, and the participants of this webinar will be getting a coupon code also, where you'll be getting a discount. So we'll be sharing the coupon code in the comment section so that you can apply it and make use of it. So the course is professional ethical hacking course, the beginner course. So now we got to know what exactly and how to start with cybersecurity, and to what extent you have to get prepared in order to enter the industry. So this was regarding the cybersecurity's core subject matter expertise. So now we shall look into the applications. Now anyone can say the applications, as it is applied in all the technologies from AI to data analytics. So there is no one technology where it involves no coding. So wherever there is coding, there is cybersecurity in it. So this was a brief on cybersecurity and ethical hacking. Now we shall come to our last part of our session by doing some practical demonstration to understand the cybersecurity status of our present devices and software products which we use it in our daily life. So first one to check out is how to check whether your email is hacked or not. So how to find out whether our emails are hacked or not? Just go to the browser and go to the website Have I Been Pawned, as shown in the screen. So this is the website. Just enter the email address. It will tell you whether your email IDs are hacked or not. Let me enter our organization email ID, that is reverseengineeringinfosec@gmail.com. So as you can see, it is not at all hacked. It is not at all breached from any side. Let me take my personal email ID. So let me take it out. As you can see, it is breached in 141 sites minimum. So this is the way to find out whether your emails are hacked or not. Now we shall move to the second one, how to find out whether your phone is hacked or not. Just open your phone, go to your dial pad and enter the command *#62#. Once you enter this particular command and enter the dial option, you will get MMEI code running, and later it will show you whether your calls are being forwarded, whether your SMSs are forwarded or not. So it will show you the complete. If anything of your whole phone is forwarded, for example, it may be calls or SMS, then it means your phone is hacked. If it is not forwarded, then it is safe. So check it in your public places like Domino's, McDonald's, or malls, or any public gathering places. It will be at least forwarded to minimum 3 numbers. Then third one, we shall look into how to check whether your Facebook accounts are hacked or not. To check whether Facebook accounts are hacked or not, go to your Facebook account, go to settings. In settings, you have an option called account settings. Again, in account settings, you have an option called download your copy. In download your copy, once you click on it, a file will be downloaded to your email account which you have registered. So open that particular downloaded file. It will show you where and all your Facebook was accessed across this globe in last 3 months, that is 90 days. So you can check it whether it was you or not. This is how you check for Facebook. Now the last one, let's move into how to check whether our systems, that is desktops or laptops, are being hacked or not. To check it, just open the command prompt, that is going to search and entering CMD, and enter the command netstat, NETSTAT. Click on it. So it will show you the list of connections connected to your system. Ignore 127.0.1 because it is a local host. By default, Microsoft people have provided it. So that will everyone will have. Other than that, whichever IP address is starting out. As you can see over my screen, my system has lot of IP addresses, but all the IP addresses, the first bit, if you see, it's starting with 192. If the first bit is starting with different numbers, then it means it is hacked. Not necessary it should be 192 only, but even if it is 162 or 112, anything is fine. But all the column, all the IP addresses, the first bit should be the same number. If it is with a different number, then it means it is hacked. This is how we check the status of whether the laptops are being hacked or not. Laptops or desktops or any Windows systems or any systems. It is applicable even for Linux also. So this is one way, and let's do a last demonstration of our webinar. That is how to check whether when you get any link, whether it is a genuine link or a fake link. Once you get a link, just go to the particular website called expand URL. Once you go to expand URL, just go and place that particular URL. It will show you whether there is a virus binded in it or not. Just paste the URL in this. It will tell you whether the URL is safe or not. This is one way. Similarly, if you get email attachments or any particular file, don't immediately execute it. Download it, it's okay, but don't execute it. Take that file and go to the website called virustotal.com. Once you go to virustotal.com, just upload that particular file in this particular website. It will show you all the status, whether it is a virus or not, or whether it is harmful or whether it is malicious or not. And it will give you results as shown in the screen. As you can see, this is how it shows you. So this is how to check your day-to-day products of cybersecurity status. So I think we can conclude our session. I would like to take up any questions or any queries you have or any doubts. You can either unmute yourself and ask or type it in the comment section also. Any doubts you can ask me.
Sir, if any questions, I'll share you the mail, sir. I'll share your mail if any questions is asked.
Sure, sir. I think we can conclude our session then.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Samar sir. Thank you for your enlightening with our cyber crimes and security towards avoiding and preventing them. Hope this session was very useful for all the participants. And once again, I thank you for your time and knowledge that you have shared with us, sir. I would like to thank our director and principal, Dr. Sir, vice principal and head, Dr. Shanta CP ma'am, for their constant inspiration and support for all the activities of our department and college. I also thank Professor Anil Kumarji, coordinator department of CSE, for his timely suggestion and support in organizing the events in our department. But not last but not least, I would also thank all the participants who have shown the interest and made the time to participate in the webinar. And I also thank our student coordinator Atif and Jagdeep in organizing the webinar. So thank you very much for your time, sir. Samar sir, thank you very much for your time. And I request all the participants to fill the feedback form that has been shared. Your e-certificates will be sent to your register mail ID by tomorrow.